Hi everyone, welcome back to class and thank you so much for joining today. My name is Kathleen and this is going to be a full body class. We're going to be using a set of light ankle weights. The ones I have here are 1 pound. I wouldn't go beyond 2, but they are optional. If you don't have them or you don't want to use weights, no problem at all, completely optional. And as I said, this is going to be a full body class. We are going to focus a lot on movement of our feet. So very deliberate movement of our feet, and you'll see what I mean in just a little bit. But before we get started, if you're going to use the weights, go ahead and set them off to the side. We won't need them until a little bit later. We'll start with a quick little breathing exercise. So go ahead and find a spot on your mat. Find a comfortable seat. Go ahead and close your eyes. And then just take a moment to come into your space and take a moment here to notice if you're holding on to anything, if you're clenching any muscles. I tend to clench my jaw and furrow the space between my eyebrows. Maybe roll out your shoulders, take a few neck rolls, whatever you need to do. And then when you're ready, slowly start to draw in a deep breath through your nose, filling up through your belly. And as you do so, start to lift the arms overhead, reaching your fingertips up towards the sky, taking a really deep breath in. And then slowly start to exhale, letting the air out through your mouth, releasing your fingertips back down towards the mat. And we're going to take 2 more fluid breaths like that, inhaling through your nose. And exhaling out through your mouth. 1 more calming breath in through your nose. And release out through your mouth. Open up your eyes. Alrighty, we're ready to start. All right, if you're going to be using the weights, go ahead and strap them onto your ankles. We'll use them on our legs to start. All right, and then meet me in a tabletop on your mat. So you're gonna stack shoulders over your wrists, hips come over the knees, and then find a nice long supported spine. So you wanna be long through the crown of your head, all the way out through your tailbone. And then I want you to notice if you're starting to sag at all through that low back or allowing your rib cage to flare open. I want you to think about closing the rib cage and drawing the bottom of the rib cage up and in. Feel how your core starts to engage. All right, from here, we're gonna tuck our toes under and we're gonna find a hover. So we're gonna find a bear, hovering our knees just a few inches above the mat. Nice and strong through that core, really lifting out through the shoulders. And we're gonna take a tap of the heel of your right palm to your left knee. So opposite palm to knee. And then you're gonna replace that palm and then switch left palm to that right knee. And then you're gonna untuck your toes here. And you're gonna lift up into a cat pose, but on the tops of your feet. So it's a little bit different from what you might be used to. You're gonna lift up so even your knees lift up, lifting out of the shoulders, rounding through your spine, doming out through your back, and stretching the tops of those feet. All right, from here, we're gonna just repeat. So tucking the toes under, lifting up into a hover. Right palm taps left knee, left palm taps right knee, untuck the toes, and find a nice rounded cat pose, lifting up through the shoulders and the knees. And repeat, continuing on just like that. I'm going to talk through a few other things here. Now you'll notice that as we lift and tap our knee with that palm, we're introducing a lot of instability in our bear pose. So just notice what you'll have, how your body kind of compensates for that shift of your weight in order to maintain that flat back, really utilizing your obliques and your core. And then in our cat pose, notice the stretch we find in the tops of our feet. So a large theme in today's class is going to be mobility of our feet, moving our feet in ways that we don't normally in everyday life, but will support us in the things that we do in everyday life. All right, we're gonna do 2 more rounds like this. And hopefully this move is starting to feel familiar in your body. I know the cat pose on the tops of those feet can feel very foreign. All right, 1 more round. Tap and tap. lower, and round. And go ahead and set the knees down. Alrighty, moving right along, we're gonna come down onto our left forearm, and then you're gonna tent your right fingertips to the edge of your mat. I want you to extend the right leg back, and we're still finding that alignment of hip over knee, and this time shoulder over elbow. I want you to extend that leg back and then draw it a few inches over towards the right. So mine is just coming off beyond the edge of my mat. From here, pointing through those toes, we're gonna lift the right leg up to about hip height, and keeping the toes pointed, we'll draw the knee in as if we're gliding it across the tabletop, in towards the armpit. You're gonna flex through your toes, kick the leg back out, extending it out, and then lower back down to that starting position. Pointing through your toes once again. Lift, draw it in, exhale as you kick it back out, and draw it back down, and repeat. Lift, draw it in, flex, extend back out, and lower. And just continuing on like this, with this pattern, flexing and pointing through your foot, really articulating through that movement. We don't spend a lot of time in our normal everyday lives moving our feet in this way. So it's good to sometimes find that and really exercise those muscles that we don't get to use every day, but certainly will help us in everyday life. I also want you to think about really lifting out through your left side body. So the side that's supporting you here in this movement, and not sagging through the rib cage. So think about lifting up out of your shoulder. Feel how your obliques are working here to stabilize. And just notice any sagging. If that's starting to happen, maybe bring your leg up a little bit lower. All right, let's do 2 more rounds here. Lift in, flex out. 1 more, and we're gonna keep that leg lifted. Hold it here, holding it here, point through your toes. You're just gonna draw a little U shape with that leg. So think about tracing a little U shape with your toes. Lift and lift. You're gonna feel this big time in the outer right glutes if you aren't already, for 3. And 2, breathing through it. 1 more. And lower the knee down. Whew. All right, guys, we're getting straight to the other side. I'm just gonna swivel around here so you can see my working leg. To set it up, we're gonna drop the right forearm down. And again, hip stack over the knee. You're gonna extend your left toes back this time. And you wanna tent those left fingertips, I forgot to mention. You'll drag the left toes out just a few inches so it's off the mat towards the left. And then we're gonna do the whole thing over again. You're gonna lift the toes up to about hip height. Draw the leg in, keeping those toes pointed. Flex through your foot, extend the leg out, and then drop it back down, repeat. So we point and lift, drawing the knee in, flex and extend, draw the leg back down, repeat. Lift and in, flex and out. Lifting out through that right side body this time, not allowing ourselves to collapse into the ribs and into the shoulder, really lifting out through our shoulders. Breathing through here. It's okay if you kind of mess up the pattern of the feet. That happens to me. It's a little bit of a brain teaser. As long as we're just thinking about really pointing through the foot and then really flexing through the foot. All right, let's do 3 more rounds here. And here's 2. And then we're gonna hold that leg lifted on the last one. So here you're gonna hold that leg lifted, pointing through your toes, little U shapes, back and forth, for 3, 2, 1 more. Woo. And lower the knee down. Woo. All right, we're gonna take a few plank rolls just to wash this out before we get to the next move. All right, so coming into a high plank, in this variation, I want you to bring your heels together and toes apart so your feet are in a little V, and you're just going to draw the hips back into space, elongating through your spine, keeping that gaze forward, and then you're gonna roll through your spine, through each vertebrae, rolling yourself out into that high plank. And we're gonna repeat. So we're gonna come back, drawing the hips back into space, really finding length in our spine, and then rolling out through our spine. 2 more like that. Inhale as you draw the hips back. Exhale as you roll yourself forward. Really finding movement in that spine as you roll forward. One more. And exhale, rolling forward. Woo. And then go ahead and lower the knees down. Alrighty, we're gonna get into our standing series now. If you are using ankle weights, I'd like you to place them either around your wrists or around your hands. So go ahead and strap them off. And I like to wear mine kind of like a pair of mittens, but you can certainly place them around your wrists if that feels more stable and comfortable for you. All right, and when you're ready, we're gonna come to standing on our mat, and I'm gonna come over towards the right. We're gonna start with our right leg and get into some single leg work. So you wanna start to set up with your feet parallel and about hips width distance apart. You're gonna bring your arms in by your waist, elbows in by your waist, palms facing one another, sitting your hips back like you're sitting in a chair. You should be able to see your toes past your knees, and you wanna find a long spine here. So taking your gaze to the top edge of your mat, you're gonna extend the left toes back behind you. And notice little to no weight in that left leg. I can easily lift my left toes off the mat, so almost all of my weight is shifted into the right leg. All right, from here, you're gonna extend your arms back into a tricep extension. And then you're gonna draw your elbows back. You're gonna draw your forearms back in. As you do so, you're gonna tap the left toes in. So you're in this sort of modified chair with your left toes popped. And then you're gonna lift up, rooting down through that right leg, reaching the arms overhead. So it's kind of like a one-legged mountain pose, finding your balance here, keeping your gaze forward, directly in front of you, so not on the ground. You're gonna start to lower down, bending through that right knee, taking the whole shape down with you. So you're in a chair with the arms extended this time. And then you're gonna repeat, drawing your arms back, extending the leg back, finding that lunge, taking it in, tap, rooting down to rise, lift, and then lowering it back down. We're gonna do 5 more like that. So we're gonna reach it back. We're gonna come in, lift to stand, lower it down. 4 more. Reach it back and in, lift up, lower it down, and breathing through this. You're gonna start to feel this a lot more in that right quad. Working hard to stabilize here. We have 2 more. Take them nice and slow, nice and controlled. Breathing through it. We've got 1 more, and then we're gonna hold, finding your balance. All right, and this last one, I want you to hold. And from here, extend that leg back, bring your hands to your hips, and then you're going to find a split lunge. And this time, you're gonna stack your shoulders over your hips. So we're in an upright position, not leaning forward anymore. We're in a split lunge, both knees are deeply bent, and you're gonna tap the knee all the way down to the mat and lift. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. For 5, you're gonna feel this in the left quad now. 4, 3, 2, and 1 more. All right, from here, you're gonna take a big step forward with that left leg, stepping it to meet your right. Feet are a little bit wider than hips width distance apart. You can keep your hands on your hips, or if it's more comfortable, you can also bring your hands to heart center, whatever works for you. From here, you're gonna root down through both feet, standing yourself all the way up, nice and slow and controlled, and repeat. So we're gonna step our left foot back into that split lunge. We're gonna step it forward into this chair with wide feet, and then we're gonna stand all the way up. 4 more like that. Step it back and forward and lift all the way up, trying to stay low in that lunge and maintaining that low stance as we come into that chair pose. Here's 2 more. Staying low here. And 1 more here. And standing all the way up. Oof. All right, before we get to the other side, we're gonna do something to just shake it off, and you can place your weights off to the side. We won't need them. We're gonna take broken down burpees. If you're someone that doesn't like burpees, don't worry. These are broken down burpees, very low impact. All right, from here, we're gonna walk ourselves out into a high plank. So go ahead and walk yourself out to a plank. You're gonna step your right foot behind your right wrist, left foot behind your left wrist, and keep those hips nice and low. From here, you're gonna come to a standing position, reaching the arms overhead, and then you're gonna come up onto your toes. So finding a little bit of a balance challenge here, working through the calves, and then you're gonna keep the height of your heels lifted and slowly start to lower yourself back into an imaginary chair, reaching those arms forward. And then once you can no longer come lower, drop the heels down, drop the palms down, step the right foot back, and left foot back. So that's it. All right, and then left foot steps forward. We'll alternate the side that leads. We're gonna stand up, and you can start to make this a bit more fluid, lifting up onto the toes, lowering it back down once you get the hang of it, and left foot back and right foot back, and repeat, right and left. Stand up, come high onto the toes, lower it down, finding that balance challenge, and coming back into your high plank. They're kind of fun after a while. It's kind of fun to add in that little balance challenge. Woo. And take these a little bit slower. Let's do 2 more on each side here. Lifting up, lowering down, and finding that high plank. And here's our left side. And really trying to find full movement here. So finding length all the way up as you stand, coming as low as you can into that chair, lifting really high onto those heels. All right, last one here with our left. Lifting it up, we're gonna lower it down and step it back and set the knees down. Woo, all right. Hopefully that was kind of fun for you and made burpees a little bit less scary. All right, moving on to our left side, go ahead and grab your weights if you're using them. Place them around your wrists or your hands. And I'm gonna swivel around to this side now. Getting into our one-legged work to set up. Feet are parallel, hips width distance apart, and you're gonna bring your elbows in by your waist, sitting back into your imaginary chair, really sitting those hips back. So draw the weight back towards your heels. Toes should be nice and light. This time you're gonna tap your right toes back behind you. So most of our weight is now in that left leg. All right, from here, we're gonna extend the arms back into a tricep extension. We're gonna draw everything in, tapping the toes. We're gonna root down, lifting up, reaching the arms overhead. And then we're slowly start to bend through that knee as we tap everything down. Arms are extended, and repeat, back and in. Root down as you lift and lower. Back and in. Root to lift and lower. 4 more like this. Breathing through it. We lift and lower. Stick with it, stay low in that left leg. Feel it working hard here. We have 1 more, and then we're gonna hold and take our split lunge. Lifting and lowering. All right, from here, hands to hips, you're gonna step the right leg back and find your split lunge, deeply bending through that right knee. You're gonna tap the knee all the way down to the mat. Exhale, lift up. Inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale for 4. 3, keep the core engaged. Draw the ribs down and back. 2 and 1. Holding it here, you're gonna step that foot forward to meet the left, finding that wide set chair. And then you're gonna stand all the way up, rooting down through both feet, and then step it back to your split lunge again. And repeat, down and lift. And again, we're trying to stay low here in the lunge and low in our squat. And then we find length as we stand up. 4 more, down and down. We lift up and lower, down and lift. 2 more. Breathing through it. Last one here. And stand all the way up. Whew. Alrighty, all done with the standing series of class. This one moves by fast. And we're just gonna get into some core and stretching, and you guys will be out of here. All right, ankle weights are now gonna go back on the ankles. And we're gonna get into some belly up core work. Alrighty, so for this first series, I want you to come with your feet about hips width distance apart, and I want you to plant your feet onto the mat. So feet are flat on the mat here. You're gonna reach your arms forward, find a nice long spine here, and then you're gonna start to drop into a C curve. So you're gonna slowly roll through your spine, articulating through that spine, finding a curve. Hold here for a second, and notice there is a tuck of the tailbone, and you're feeling your core engage. And we're gonna lower down even more, and we're gonna keep lowering down until we hit the points of our shoulder blades. We're gonna stop right there. Stopping here, we're slowly gonna start to lift ourselves back up, curling your chin in towards your chest. Imagine like you're trying to curl into a tight little ball. The lower part of your body remains exactly the same, so it's not really moving at all. Our legs aren't moving. Our upper body is just lowering down. Once we hit our shoulder blades, we're gonna curl ourselves back up, like we're trying to curl into a little ball. That's how I like to think about it here. So we're not thinking about lifting the chest up towards the sky as we peel back up. It's almost like we're unfurling as we come down and then recurling back into our little ball as we lift up. Hopefully that helps. That imagery helps with this movement and lifting ourselves back up. And this one is really getting deep into the core. If you can't feel that already, working not just those top abs, those six-pack abs, but our core set abs as well, our transversus abdominis. Lowering ourselves down and lifting ourselves back up. We're gonna do 3 more. And if you're someone that really struggles with these kinds of movements and feels like you kind of get stuck at a certain point and can't come up any higher without kicking your legs, that totally happens to me as well. I would recommend placing a small towel or a rolled up sweatshirt right under your low back and try the move with the aid of the towel. You should find a lot more ease as you come up, but this will still keep it in the core, out of your low back, out of your legs. Hopefully that helps. I think we might have one more or may have added an extra rep. All right, let's just do one more in any case. And exhale, lifting yourself back up and come all the way up to an upright seat. Maybe shake out your shoulders and your legs. Okay, we're gonna come down onto our backs now. So you're gonna lower all the way down onto your back and you're gonna bring your knees into a tabletop. So knees are gonna stack over your hips, shins are parallel to the mat. If you find that this is uncomfortable for your low back, you can bring your shins a little bit higher than parallel. So it's at a diagonal here. You're gonna rest your palms face down on the mat and you're gonna relax your shoulders down into the mat. So I want you to think about really peeling those shoulders down and back as opposed to allowing them to curl. That tends to happen sometimes, so I really want you to be deliberate about that. And then here, instead of finding a neutral spine, which is usually what I recommend, here I really want you to think about finding an imprinted spine. So closing the gap between your low back and the mat. And you can even place your fingertips here and you'll feel that there's a natural curve in your spine. I want you to actually close that space off and feel how you really start to engage those core set muscles. You can even place your hands there and see when you relax and allow that curve in your spine. And as you draw the ribs in and down and you exhale, you feel those muscles engage. All right, from here, palms face down, arms long by your side. You're just gonna drop one toe down at a time. So we're gonna drop our right toes down towards the mat. And notice we wanna keep the shape of that leg in that tabletop bent position. And you're gonna slowly start to lift it back up. And then left toes we're gonna dip. And exhale, you're gonna lift it back up. Inhale as you drop the toes down. Exhale as you lift them back up. Few things here. We're working our deep core muscles. If you find that lowering your leg lowering the toes all the way down to the mat causes you to have to curve through your low back, takes this out of the muscles and into the low back, I want you to come up a little bit higher. So instead of tapping all the way down to the mat, just hover your toes maybe a few inches above the mat and see if that helps. Because we really want to focus on using our core, relying on our core to support our low back here, instead of using our low back to find more range of movement. All right, 3 more on each side. And 3. and 2, and 2. Really using that breath to exhale as you lift the leg back up. Here's our last one, and 1. All right, we're gonna come back to this move, but before we do that, we're gonna do something else. You're gonna interlace your hands behind your head, creating a little basket for your head here. I want you to make sure you have nice support. Draw your armpits down, hollowing out through that space. Open your elbows so that they're in your peripheral vision. And we're just gonna start to draw little bicycles with our shoulder blades lifted off the mat. Inhaling and exhaling. Breathing through this one for 5. Making big bicycle movements here with the legs. Here's 3, 2. We're gonna reverse direction in 1. Wherever you are, reverse that bicycle. Drawing big circles here for 4, 3, 2, and 1 more. And land in tabletop and lower yourself back down. All right, guys, just 1 more move here. Arms are gonna come back down by your side, palms face down. Shoulders nice and open. Gluing those shoulders back into the mat. This time we're gonna dip both toes and we're gonna keep that imprinted spine. So re-find that imprinted spine and start to lower both toes down towards the mat. Now for this one, we're loading up the abs a lot more with more weight because both legs are coming down, so you may not come as far as you came in that single leg variation. That's totally normal and that's true for me as well. So find that spot that works for you where you get shaky, where you can really feel it, where you're finding a challenge, but you are not sacrificing your form, you're not sacrificing your low back. Exhale, lifting it up, really using that exhale. Let's do 4 more. Inhale as you lower, and exhale to lift it back up. Here's 3. Got 2 more. Here's your last one. And go ahead and hug the knees into your chest. Give them a little squeeze, maybe rock side to side. We're all done with the hard work, so go ahead and take those weights off and just toss them off to the side. And we're gonna get into a little bit of stretching. So I'm just gonna flip over here. You're gonna start in a downward facing dog. So go ahead and find your down dog and be gentle here. This may be the first down dog of class for you, or of the day for you. So the backs of the legs might not be fully warmed up yet. So feel free to take a generous bend in those knees, maybe pedal out your legs a few times. And then once you're ready, find stillness, reaching your tailbone up towards the sky. And then really opening up through your chest and finding a long spine. So I want you to think more about finding that length in your spine than finding really straight legs to begin with. And then once you've found that, you can start to play around with softening your heels towards the mat and finding more length out the backs of your legs. You're gonna lift your right leg high, and then you're gonna draw that knee in towards your chest, and then plant the foot down between your palms, and then set the back knee down. I want you to plant your left palm down and then take a little twist, opening up towards the right, lifting the right fingertips high. And I want you to think about really lifting high, lifting up, and then drawing that shoulder back, opening up through your chest and your shoulders. And then go ahead and drop the fingertips back down. We're gonna take a little quad stretch here. This can be kind of intense. If you have tight quads, I recommend using a towel or a TheraBand to help extend the reach of your arm. So you could place that towel or band around the back of your leg or your foot to bring your arm, to extend the reach of your arm. And then lower it back down. We're gonna take a little pyramid stretch, stretching our right hamstring and the back of that right leg. And again, if you're very tight in the hamstrings, you can bring some blocks underneath your palms or some books, something to elevate the surface of the ground, make this more accessible. All right, coming back to our plank and our downward facing dog, we're gonna take the left side now, left leg high. Step it all the way through, foot between your palms, and then drop the right knee down. You're gonna plant your right palm down and peel open towards the left, lifting up through those left fingertips, lifting out of that right shoulder, so not dumping too much weight into the wrist. And then drop the fingertips down. We're gonna take our quad stretch, and again, using the band or the towel to help make this more accessible. I also have tight quads, so this one is a lot for me, and I'm gonna stretch them out even more after class. I encourage you guys to do that too, holding each stretch on each side for at least 30 seconds to really benefit from the stretch. Lower it down, and then we're gonna step our foot in, finding that pyramid stretch, and notice if this side feels different from the other. I'm saying that mostly because it definitely feels tighter on the left than it does on the right for me. So notice if that's also you with one side or the other. It tends to be for most people. And just focus on making sure you're giving that weaker side or that tighter side a bit more attention. All right, coming back down into our downward facing dog. Take a few more maybe wags of the tail or pedaling out through your legs. And then come all the way back down onto your mat. And you guys are all done with class. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed the class. As always, if you have any questions or you have any comments, please do feel free to leave them in the comments. I read them all, and they really help me as I grow and come up with more classes for you guys. I invite you to subscribe to my channel and stay tuned for what's coming up next. Thank you so much.